Hello and welcome to Money Mindset Mentors. My name's Laura Lee Kenny and I live in New Brunswick, Canada. And each week I have the great pleasure to have a chat with some very interesting and unique individuals that have had some lovely experiences that they love to share with us and inspire us that we can go from very little to expanding our mind, our pocketbook, and our knowledge. Now, today, because of technology, I get to introduce you to a very interesting Scottish gentleman that happens to live in Australia, in Perth, Australia. Now, this gentleman is an online entrepreneur, and I know that he succeeded extremely well in business. Now, some of you guys know that I was a certified financial planner. So I was used to looking at businesses' spreadsheets, bottom lines, reports, which is so page turning not. But him and I have talked about spreadsheets and reports, business reports, and had some great conversations that him and I enjoy, but the rest of you might not like it. Although now, because of things have changed in my life, I have decided to transfer my knowledge as a certified financial planner into an enlightening other people how they can change first their mindset, because I didn't know it had to do with the mindset. I was what they called an unconscious competent. And now I wanted to learn how to be a conscious competent where I could share that knowledge with other people. Now, today, my special guest is Ricky Smith from Perth, Australia. Ricky, would you come on and say hello to everyone and tell us a little bit about you? I get you to unmute yourself up to there you are. I have to say good
Hey,
evening to
Laura
you.
Lee, thank you for that lovely welcome. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. Now, I don't know how you ended up going from Scotland to Australia. So
That's
maybe
a
tell us a little bit how that journey went.
that is a great question, Laura Lee. I'd love to tell you and the audience. Well, basically, lived in Scotland, born in Dundee in Scotland. Dundee is on the east coast of Scotland. And I mean, Scotland's an absolutely beautiful place. And if anybody's listening to this call, either on live or on the replay, I would definitely recommend they pay Scotland a visit for a week, at least a week. Just make sure you take an
Mhm.
umbrella and a pair of wellies. Uh, because, um, I'm 63 years of age and I've spent 50 years in Scotland. So most of my life and absolutely love Scotland to bits. But even ever since I was a young man, like 17, I travelled abroad. We used to, in Scotland and the UK, we used to go to Spain a lot, Benidorm in particular, because we're always chasing that 2 weeks of guaranteed sunshine. Because in Scotland, you could never guarantee two hours
Weeks of
of
sunshine.
2 hours of sunshine. So when you went to Spain, you were pretty much guaranteed wall to wall sunshine for a couple of weeks, and that was great. So then I met my wife and blah blah blah, and then we had kids. And really, ever since the kids were young, we used to take them on holidays to Cyprus and Spain and Benidorm. Again, forever chasing the sunshine. Um, and then when we got a bit older and the kids got up, my wife decided she was in nursing. She decided maybe, just maybe, we should emigrate. And originally we looked at going to the USA, California, because there was opportunities in nursing in Orange County. But we went there for a visit back in 2003, I think it was. And that turned out not to be the place that my wife wanted to live and bring up the kids.
Mhm.
So I said, well, that's fine. And she then said, I think I'll try to get us into Australia. And of course, being a nurse, they were at that time scheming out for nurses. And so
Mhm.
she was able to apply for permanent residency, and we got
Mhm.
accepted in 2007. and we moved here to Australia in 2008. And at that time, my son was just leaving school in Scotland, but my daughter had left school, started working, and she'd met a guy and she was engaged to get married. So it was kind of heartbreaking because we had to leave her behind. But I knew because of my persuasive skills that eventually she would want to follow mum and dad and come to Australia. And that's what's ended up
Oh, that's
happening. So,
wonderful.
yeah.
Oh, so you have not been there that as many years as I thought perhaps you might have been. Now, absolutely, as a nurse, those skills transfer anywhere. You can travel and work anywhere. And for you as a business person, you could do the same thing.
Indeed. Well, at that particular time, Laura Lee, I had a lot of experience in the life insurance industry, funny enough, in financial service, a bit like
Yeah.
yourself, yes. And to be fair, I had a passion for it. And about a year before, I'd actually looked at an opportunity in Singapore, of all places, and we were contemplating going to Singapore to work for a financial services company before we came to Australia. But what happened was there was an embargo on. Um, uh, I'm not sure exactly what the term was, but it was basically getting approval to move into Singapore. So I
Oh,
tried
okay.
it out for a few weeks. We got kind of knocked back on the application. So it was that at that point that we then decided to come to Australia. And before I came to Australia, I'd made a contact in Singapore who knew a contact in Australia who ran his own financial services company. And I reached out to him on New Year's Eve saying, "Look, I'm coming to Australia in a couple of months' time. I'm going to be looking for a job." And he said to me, "Look, I appreciate your forwardness. Why don't you just, when you get here, give me a ring, come and see me, and we'll see what we can do." And that's what happened in February 2008. And within a couple of weeks, I joined that company and started working for that company. So,
Awesome. And as we know what happened worldwide in 2008, there was such a collapse, especially in the real estate market.
correct.
Which made a huge difference for a lot of people because a lot of people were investing in real estate and overextending themselves as like, oh, I can make the payments. That's how they thought. They did not think a little farther ahead to protect themselves. And a lot of people lost whatever they had invested because they were just running such a thin line.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, previous to that, I mean, I'd had probably about, you're talking about 2008. I'd probably been in the sort of financial services sector since 1987, when
Hmm.
indeed there was also a bit of a
Hmm.
crash then as well. So
Yeah.
I kind of experienced something like that before, and although it never personally affected me, it was a tough time to be in the financial services industry, no matter
Yes.
what sector you were in within
Yeah.
that industry.
Absolutely.
Um,
Do you wanna come closer to the
yeah, of
camera a
course, of
little bit
course, of
more?
course, of course.
Yes,
Yeah,
so we can see you. Yes, I started in 1989. Um, pardon me, it's 1998 for me. So I no more than got in and we had the 2000 crash. Oh man, that was quite the learning experience for us because we borrowed to invest. And oh man, so I understood exactly what my clients were going through. Although I was much more aggressive than they were because I specialized in retirement planning. So,
yeah,
they thought they were hurting? Oh my gosh, I know all about what it looked like to look at those reports. My husband was like, "Let's save some money, let's get out of there." I'm like, this was a long-term plan, that's not happening." But
yeah.
anyway, so you since then, you have retired several years there. You have retired from doing financial planning the same as I have, or do you still do some?
No, I mean, I kind of gave up on the financial services industry probably towards 2011, 12.
Oh, okay.
We were still in Australia at the time. but we were in the other side of Australia. We were in what's called the Gold Coast, which is in
Yeah.
Queensland.
Mhm.
Beautiful place, beautiful beaches, just absolutely stunning. But at that time, my daughter, who was still in Dundee, she was married by this time. She gave us a call one day and said, "Mum and Dad, we're pregnant, i.e., we're having the first grandchild."
Oh my
So
gosh, exciting.
I was working for at that time a magazine company because I was always in sales and marketing as well as financial
Mhm.
services, especially in the advertising industry. And my wife was still nursing, so we looked at each other and we thought, well, there's just no way that we wanted to see a grandchild being born in the other side of the world and watch this little grandchild on Skype at the time. It was Skype, not Zoom or
Yes.
not Be
Yep.
Connected, obviously. So we decided, right, let's give everything up, stop the job, stop the whole lot, and go back to Scotland. So we did that in 2012, February, and my daughter gave birth to a beautiful little granddaughter in March, a month later,
Mhm.
2012. And we all stayed in one house, our house, because my daughter had rented that house, well, paid the mortgage whilst we were in Australia. And we lived
Mhm.
together for a year until my daughter built a house. And I built such a close relationship with the granddaughter over that 4 years that we stayed back in Scotland. It was incredible. And then we decided, having had a conversation with my daughter, that we were going to come back to Australia, but this time to Perth, and that she was going to follow on a couple of months after us, you know?
Oh my goodness. I just I the from the time I was a young girl, I got to grow up a lot of the time with my grandparents, with one set of
Yeah.
my grandparents. The other set unfortunately had passed away. So I was a little mother hen. I was one of the oldest of 12 children. And I used to say, like, "I can't wait to be a Grammy." I just because I love my Grammy so much and the love that I got from her, and you can imagine the attention I got from her. She had 3 boys, and, when she got to have a girl in the house, she was just so excited. She'd tell me, "I'm not supposed to say this, but you are my favorite." Well,
Little
so
girls are
so
always the
I was
favorite. Yeah.
so excited. Our first granddaughter was born in 2011, and my son thought I should quit my financial planning and come babysit for him. Travel to Fredericton, which was about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on winter or summer drive, back and forth each day while they worked. And I just said, He said, "But mom, you always said you couldn't wait to be a grandmother." I said, "Yes, I get to take them and spoil them and send them home."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I stayed home with you guys and worked part-time. It's my time now. Not
Yeah.
happening, dear. But
Yeah.
we did babysit the oldest one a lot for them,
Yeah.
especially in the summer months, and cherish the joy of being a grandparent. It's just so wonderful. It really,
It is a
really is.
wonderful experience for those people who haven't experienced it yet. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it certainly is. Now, I want to talk a little bit more. Now, we just met a few months ago.
We did.
We met because of this lovely platform on Be Connected.
Yeah.
And when I first heard about Be Connected, I was just at that point where unfortunately I had been cloned again for the third time on Facebook. And of course, Facebook, LinkedIn, and well, Facebook and Instagram, and my account on LinkedIn was corrupted in addition. And I did not use LinkedIn hardly at all. In fact, I had an account when the first couple of years that they started, which I ended up closing down because of the people cloning it and doing things. And I started over last year. But when I heard about Be Connected and it was a social business platform, and I thought, oh, if I'm going to transition into doing an online business, maybe I better go to this meeting and watch it. And it was just a little and, at that time, I was with Blaney Teal's, meeting, and Tanya and JR were on the meeting. I did not know who was gonna be on the meeting. I had no clue. But they talked about this platform that wouldn't allow bots and scammers in, and you couldn't lose your account unless you did something illegal or immoral. And I was like, "Hmm, let me listen more." Well, within 20 minutes, I bought into it. I thought, "Hmm, I'll give this a shot. I'm new to it. What do I have to expect with it?" And they said, "Oh, by the way, it's monetized." And I'm like, if I happen to earn enough to pay for my account, wonderful. If they don't, I'm happy if it works. That's all I cared about. A couple of months went by and I start learning more about the company, not expecting to be one of their elite coaches. And that's how you and I met. You joined their
Yes.
their coaching program where we get to introduce other people to be able to set up their business platform. So I love that part of it, that we got to connect with very unique, loving, kind people that want to help other people. And that's the way I describe us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, you've been involved in the platform longer than myself, Laura Lee. I only got introduced to the platform back in October, so it's just a few months for me. But again, like
Mhm,
you, I'd used Skype previous to Zoom, and then Zoom for several years for different business opportunities. I was quite comfortable with Zoom, to be quite fair, and and then I like that picture. I'm working on the muscles.
I love
But
it.
when my friend Patty in Pennsylvania mentioned this platform to me, the little wheelies started to go around. The little business mind that I've got and had for years and years and years began to think, what if, what if half of what my friend Patty was saying to me, this platform can do, it actually does. I just think this could take off like a rocket,
Mhm,
And of course, so within a few days, I just jumped in, not really fully understanding it because I'm not a technical person at all. Um, but I just thought you've got to have the vision for some things, Laura Lee, right? You
mhm,
might not understand it, but you got to have the. If you've got the vision, that's really what counts because vision helps you make a decision to move forward, and then
mhm,
you'll learn about the technology or how to make it work or how to sell it or how to market it. You'll learn all that stuff later on. But if
mhm.
you can see the possibilities of the upside, then jump in. And that's exactly what I did, Laura Lee. Again, not fully understanding it, but I knew that over the course of time, certain bits will just fall into place. And they have done. Now, don't get me wrong, technology is a moving target, and clearly we are updating things virtually daily and weekly within Be Connected. And there's lots of new upgrades coming in the next week or two which
Mhm.
I think are going to be fantastic for everyone. And I can just see that in the next year or two, we can really make an impact in the market with this platform because everyone that does any form of selling of any product, be it a course or a product online, can benefit from this platform. It just, in my opinion, leaps and bounds ahead of anything else that's in the marketplace on online platforms,
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I'm I I sold did investments and an insurance license, and with the insurance, I did accidental death and disability. And that has got to be the most tedious type of insurance you could absolutely ever sell. So numbers were my thing. But like I said, I transitioned to being not just a bookworm, but being very social. I think I naturally am social anyway, but I had to turn a switch to be more open to possibilities. I think maybe it's just natural, but I jumped in 2 feet. If I see and believe what I'm hearing, that's me. I'll find out later. Now, I've been working with a computer for probably, dating myself here again, but back when in the 90s, before a lot of businesses in our little community even had a computer, I had a home
Yeah.
computer. Um, And let me tell you, that wasn't an easy purchase. Thank goodness, we were able to do a payment plan on it because it was 4 grand to have a
Yeah,
computer.
yeah.
You know, like, I didn't have enough of a business to think about doing that. We had a home computer well, that was my first laptop was 4 grand. The first a couple of years prior to that, in '96, we bought a computer for our son, and, it was 2,700, I think, at the time, Canadian money. But anyway, I've been around computers a long time, but there's a difference being technical, I believe, and learning what you need to do on those particular computers. I mean, when first started, we had to write DOS, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was a couple of years later, there was quite a big difference. Um, but I totally agree with you on the possibilities of what's going on. Now, if somebody is watching the replay, I happen to do features of a couple of different links, them with one with Ricky's muscles. That's a link to his website. The other ones, when I link them here to the bottom, they just happen, we call them, we're featuring them. And one was his email, and the other one's his website. Just different ways of promoting. And I want to comment over here on the left. We see three pictures or three graphics, and then three tabs below. And believe it or not, even in recordings, these tabs over here are clickable so that you can link right. Another window will pop up and the information will be there, because as easy as we can make it for people to connect with us, the better.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Now,
yeah, sorry, Laurie.
I wanted to just to say, I wanted you to go back and elaborate a little bit how you feel Be Connected's features and connections, all of that will help enhance your business, your online business.
Yeah, so I mean, Laurie, I mean, I'm 63 years of age. I've been in sales and marketing and business development pretty much all my life. So 40 years really of my career. And I've never really embraced online marketing, to be fair. I've been always a very much a face-to-face type of person, more offline than online,
Mhm.
and that stood me in good stead. And I've got relationships, and you develop communication skills with people, and for a lot of people that does stand you in good stead as you're developing your career. But,
Mhm.
and here's the but, I realized just a few months ago, and probably it started when I saw Be Connected, and then latterly in December when I found another online marketing academy program, which I've also joined, that
Mhm.
you, there's a big shift going on. Well, there's probably been a big shift going on for quite a long time. And it's going more from that offline situation, face to face, to an online situation, because the challenge is offline is great. Don't get me wrong. Face to face and belly to belly is fantastic. And there's always lots of business done that way. However, there's a very, very restricted geographical market when you're doing it that way. Whereas online now, because of tools like Be Connected and so on and so forth, and all the different social media platforms, you can potentially connect with people all around the world, complete and utter strangers. You could do it through your own personal brand. You could do it faceless. You could do it through avatars. You could do it through artificial intelligence. I mean, it's just mind-boggling the possibilities. You know, it really, really is. You've got things like Chat GPT, where it writes messages for you, it writes stories, it could write booklets, it could write courses. There's so much stuff out there. And I realized that there was young people in their late teens, early 20s doing this stuff, understanding this stuff and learning this stuff and applying this and making, quite frankly, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars by creating a profile or even a faceless profile on social media. So in the last few months, I've realized that I've got two options here. Option one, stick my head in the sand and be a dinosaur and think it'll all go away. Or two, much as I'm not a big fan of technology, try to slowly but surely embrace this stuff It might take me longer to learn it than average Joe, but you've got to embrace it because if you do in your business, whatever business you're involved in, it could pay dividends times 10, times 20, times 100 because you're effectively reaching out to a much, much bigger global audience. And the key to, I think, online marketing is really to try and give value to your audience, whoever your target audience is, whoever you've decided is your niche market effectively, try and give value to that niche market, to that niche audience, and build up kind of a level of knowledge, and they like you and they trust you because it's only when people know, like, and trust you. Laura Lee, you've been in financial services a long time, you understand that. It's only when people know, like, and trust you that they will probably do business with you. And if you could do that on a global scale with a big, big audience, then quite frankly, seven-figure incomes are not uh, impossible, Laura Lee.
Not only not impossible, they're very common when people have
Correct.
learned that. And and in order for you to be in financial services the length of time that you were, you had to learn that. I
Yes.
didn't realize anyway that there's a lot you learn when you first go into business. Now, before I was in financial planning, I was a cosmetic representative and I did skincare and cosmetics, but I also had 123 representatives underneath me. So it wasn't, but most of that had to do in the latter couple of years. And when I got hurt in a car accident and couldn't work for almost 3 years, and the exchange rate, because it was a US product, the exchange rate on the money was 52 cents in the dollar. Like my business just collapsed.
Yeah.
Because when I didn't work, they didn't work. I wasn't a very good manager. I hadn't had them long enough, but I didn't know how to nurture that part of
Yeah.
them. I
Yeah.
could hold their hand for them in some regards, but they look at the leader. If the leader's not doing anything,
They
you
won't
know,
either. That's
no,
right.
and so I didn't blame them. So when and the little bit of money that we had put away, because you have to realize, like I was only 35 at the time. Most people at age 35 do not have much of a nest egg unless they were in business or unless they inherited money. And let me tell you, neither my husband or I, that was not the case at all. We knew what it was like to work hard for your money. But
Yeah.
I know when we first started out, I was like so excited because the number on his paycheck, and I moved to be with him and get married. So therefore I didn't have a job right away. And I was all excited at first, and then it didn't take any length of time. I wasn't excited for payday anymore because that just meant you paid all the bills. Like,
Yeah.
and then there was nothing left over, and I was like, oh man, I need to start doing something to help here. But at that time in the 70s, it was quite common for people to survive with one paycheck.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, that's about me, not about you. And I'd like to get back to learn a little bit more about you. Now, I know because you came from Scotland, you have a couple of unique things to Scotland, and I'd like to know if you'd share some info with people. One, I will not, unless it's the only way I could survive, would ever want to eat haggis at all because I know how it's made. I've watched a show on that one time, an explanation. I was like, "Oh my goodness gracious!" But sometimes, if you don't know what it is and you're blindfolded and you taste it, but I think you have to have an acquired taste for it. Would that be
Indeed.
true?
Absolutely. It's probably best that people don't know what's in haggis. But I can rest
And we
assure
don't
you
have to
that
spoil that.
as far as I'm concerned, it's absolutely wonderful to taste. And we celebrate. There's a poet, a famous poet called Robert Burns or Rabbie Burns from Scotland
Mhm.
back in the
Yep.
17th century. He actually wrote, believe it or not, the most famous tune in the world, which is Auld Lang Syne, the New Year song,
Mhm.
which everybody sings at New Year.
Yep.
And every January, I think it's the 25th of January from memory, Scots around the world celebrate Robbie Burns. And on Burns night, it's haggis, as we call it,
Mhm.
haggis, tatties, which is potatoes mashed up, and
Mhm.
neeps. Neeps is turnip. Now, haggis, tatties, and neeps might sound not that appetizing to most people, but I'll tell you what, when you cook your haggis, tatties, and neeps perfectly, it is one of the most wonderful and nutritious meals on the planet.
Oh, yes, because it helped people survive for a lot of years with the famine and stuff. We have a very high-end restaurant, hotel and restaurant. It used to be called the Lord Beaverbrook. So it's got connection to you guys, and, they have haggis and mashed potatoes on their menu
Fantastic.
over here in New Brunswick, Canada. Now, you have something else that's unique to you guys. You have a little creature. In fact, it's huge, massive creature that has folklore attention to it for, I'll say, centuries.
Probably
Now, I
is,
learned
yeah.
a little bit, a little spin-off, but first I'd like you to tell us about the folklore creature that you guys grew up knowing about.
Well, probably a lot of folks have heard of the Loch Ness Monster.
Mhm,
And, the Loch Ness Monster dates back to the kind of dinosaur age, if you like. So,
mhm,
probably millions of years ago. And Loch Ness, which is on the kind of northwest coast of Scotland, you've got to appreciate Scotland's just a tiny little country by comparison to a lot of countries. Um, but it is a beautiful country, and anybody who's listening to this replay should really, if they haven't visited yet, I thoroughly recommend it. But Loch Ness is one of the deepest fresh water lochs. In fact, it is the deepest water loch in the whole of UK. And there's more water in Loch Ness, freshwater that is, in the whole of the rest of the UK. So we can supply, Scotland can supply the whole of the UK with as much water as it ever needs. But going back in history, and some people have said they've seen it, and some people have said they haven't. But I firmly believe, and I haven't seen it, right? I'll be honest with you. I've been to
mhm.
Inverness several times. I've been on the loch a couple of times. In fact, I've walked up, I did a long 100-mile walk up the mountains at the side of Loch Ness. It's such a big loch. And it's rumoured that on a misty day, as long as somebody's playing the bagpipes, the monster, the Loch Ness monster, occasionally, very occasionally, it's got to be a misty day, so it likes to go incognito, and there's got to
Mhm.
be a particular bagpipe tune playing, but occasionally it will stick its head above the water. And that's why probably people around the world have seen little snippets of videos and little snippets of pictures
Mhm.
on YouTube and so on and so forth. Personally, I believe the Loch Ness monster still exists, but I've yet to
Yes.
see it in real life. So there you go.
Well, I'm gonna share a little story later on with you of what I just heard recently about the Loch Ness Monster. Um, and I thought, "Oh, I had not heard that part before." But we wanna keep our time schedule here, and
Of
I just
course.
wanna thank you for taking the time for and letting us get to know you and, a little bit about more about your plans for the future. And I just love it, and I love that had a chance to connect here on this wonderful platform that we say, "Don't just supersize your group, monetize it. Be seen, be
Absolutely.
heard, be found." But I wanna ask you just one more quick thing before we do leave, and I thank everybody for checking this out, is would you please leave people with 2 quick things? 1, who inspires you the most right now? And 2, your I want you to leave us with your, we'll say words of wisdom that you live by, whether you come up with them or you follow someone else.
Well, two great questions, Laura Lee. I mean, I've been inspired by many, many people. I read a lot of positive mindset books, and I follow a lot of people online People like Grant Cardone, T. Harv Eker, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, all names that most people probably have heard of. I guess the kind of suggestions I would make to folks listening is that regardless of what age you are or what your circumstances are, you have to believe in you first and foremost. Believe in
Mhm.
yourself, because anything is possible. We've all got our trials and tribulations in life. We've all got our challenges. But if you believe that anything is possible, then anything is possible. And the second suggestion I would make to people is go on.
When you had said that about your challenges, we've not talked about this, but I know you've certainly going through or gone through your own private health challenge that a lot of people are affected by it. And I see you today. I don't know. I had said, we just met a few months ago, but you are I see a healthy, vibrant man.
I was diagnosed with prostate cancer 5 years ago, Laura Lee, and went
Hmm.
through an operation, then radiation, and then latterly I've had some treatment in the last 12 months. So, prostate cancer, or any cancer for that matter, can be a very testing thing, and nobody likes to hear they've been diagnosed with cancer. But again, I think there's a couple of things that can help on that particular journey. And one is having that positive mindset and
Hmm.
believing in yourself. The second thing is keeping yourself fit and healthy. And
Hmm.
I've always kept myself, I've tried to keep myself as fit and healthy as I can. I go to the gym. I'm 63 years of age. I go to the gym pretty much every day. I play tennis pretty much every day for an hour or two a day. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy life. I enjoy a little glass of red wine every so often, and I'm about to have another one shortly. But it's everything in balance. But you've got to put the work in. You've got to put the effort in. Nothing comes without work. And going to the gym and being careful with your diet and exercise and all the rest of it, it's not somebody's favorite topic. But, and I believe that if you're just balanced with the things that you do in your life, then you can lead a good life. Now, don't get me wrong, other things can happen that are out with your control. I never ever thought, to be honest, I'd be diagnosed with cancer. And it's a tough one sometimes. Mentally, it's very tough, and physically, it can be tough as well with all the side effects of the treatments. But again, you've got to believe that there's a good life out there regardless,
Hmm.
and that you've still got possibilities of doing anything that you want to do. And that's the way I treat life. And I guess the final point on that is whatever goes on in your life, never ever give up. Never ever quit on your goals, your health goals, your financial goals, your life goals, your relationship goals. Keep on going and never throw the towel in. And that is really how I live my life, Laurie.
Oh, I love, I love that beautiful wisdom from you. I totally agree with you. Which is why when I had a chance to meet with you, I thought you told me a little bit about yourself, very open about it, and I thought not everybody is willing to do that. And so you give great hope and wisdom to others. On that note, I thank you so much and thank you for listening. I also like to say on here, have a great day and a better tomorrow. Bye,
Thank you,
folks.
Laurie. Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.